Hello, everyone. So as Wishap mentioned, we are going through all the new items that we have in walls shop drawings, in our floor module, and also a small item for our trusses. So let me just switch to our 3D view. Here, I'm just having some panels. Now we want to generate shop drawings for this panel. Let's go to Wall Drawing Manager. Let's create the default shop setting. And when I double click, we can see all the new options that we have here in shop drawings. First, let's go to framing elevation. If you remember before, we had this option to select all these dimensions, and those dimensions would show up in our shop drawings. Now, if you wanted to change the settings for these shop drawings, you should have switched to view settings, and in dimensions, you had to hover the mouse over each section of the settings here. The order was the same as we saw here in our dimensions, but it wasn't easy to remember which section is pointing out to which type of dimension that we had. So right now in the new build, you can see each dimension here written on the top left. So the first section is, for example, for our left elevation height. The second one is for top elevation length. And the last one is diagonal overall dimensions. If we switch back to dimensions and let's uncheck diagonals overall dimensions, and this time we can say bottom structural member length. We can select this one and now we can switch to view settings in dimensions. You will see the section on the bottom has already changed. In this new section for the structural members length, for the top and bottom view, there's a new option for place dimension on every stud. This item can be checked or unchecked. When this is unchecked, it will recognize all the stud packs or our double studs or triple studs as one stud, and it will place just one dimension line for that. Based on the alignment setting that we have here on the bottom, the line for the dimension is going to be aligned to the member. So when it is set to left reference alignment, it will align the dimension line to the left side of our first stud. If it's a double stud, again, it's going to align it to the first stud that we have. Let's keep this one checked for now. Then we are going to generate a shop drawing. We will come back here, uncheck it, and we will see the differences. And the last tab for the labels, this is the default setting, but now we would like to switch back to here, uncheck these two options, and we are going to label panel members by method this time. In the labels tab, we can switch between all the options that we have. We can set it to by schedule label and OK. We have set it to by schedule label, so we need to make sure that we are running distribution before generating shop drawings for our panel. The other view that we have here is going to be our framing floor plan. Let's double click. We are already generating the structural member length in our elevation view, so we can uncheck this one here. And when we switch to view settings, in dimensions, we will just have one tab. Same option has been added to all the views with the dimension lines. Let's come back here to our view settings. The other thing that we can change here in our shop drawing is the sheet insert point and view insert point. We are saying from which point of our view we are going to pick it and to which point of the zone we are going to place it. Now on the left side of the sheet, we have the table, the beam of material table. So what we can do to like have a cleaner sheet somehow, we can set this one maybe to mid left. If it was set to mid center, we can change our view insert point to mid left and OK. For our walls, when we are generating framing, floor plan, or elevation plan, we have this option for show wall. This option has always been here. You could check this off or uncheck it if you didn't want to see your walls. But when you check this one, now you have this option to also have transparency for that wall. Transparency is checked, and just like Revit, you can add the percentage in front of it. The other options like show adjacent panels, shade adjacent panels, and hide horizontals are also available here. Now let's click on OK and switch to our RCP view. Same thing here, we just need to uncheck. In view settings, we can set this one to mid-left. When we scroll down, we can show wall and add some transparency to our wall. And in dimensions, we just have one option here. I forgot to change the framing elevation view insert point. So let this one to mid-left. And when we scroll on the bottom, we have the same option for show wall as well. We can click on OK and close. And let's generate shop drawings for this panel. Panel 8, and this is how it looks like. We need to go back to our settings and change the scale for our elevation view, but everything else looks fine. Let's just try that here. So in view settings, we can change the preferred scale to 3/8 and OK and close. If I zoom in, you will see that we are having a regular stud arrangement for this wall panel. If we go back to level 1 for panel 8, when we go to our panel's properties in miscellaneous tab, structural members, stud configuration, here we can change our active configuration style. It can be set to double, back-to-back, face-to-face, interlock, or triple. When we set this one to double, this is where that option in shop drawing is useful. You can generate shop drawing for panel 8. Let's take a look at it. And when we zoom in, because we kept that option unchecked, you will see that the dimension lines look a bit messy. Now we can go back to level 1, back to our shop drawing setting. And in framing elevation, view settings, dimensions, we just need to uncheck this option. If you would like to align the dimension line to the center reference alignment, you can also switch this one to center and OK and OK. You can go ahead and generate shop drawing one more time. So in panel 8, when we zoom in, the dimension line, if I double click, it is exactly aligned to the center of the first stud that we have. If we switch this one to a triple, it's exactly going to be the same thing. The dimension line is going to be aligned to the first stud. The alignment can be set to start, center, and the end point. The other new option that we have added for our shop drawings is mainly for organizing our sheets. For that option, first we need to go to Manage, and in Project Parameters, we can click on New. First, we need to decide how are we going to organize our sheets. Is it going to be based on levels? Is it going to be based on units? For this example, let's say that we are going to separate the sheets based on the levels that they have. We are adding a parameter here. The name is level. It's an instance parameter and it's a project parameter. We just need to change the type parameter to text. And then for categories, this is going to be a parameter for our sheets in the project. So we need to make sure that we check off the option for sheets. And let's click on OK and OK. Now let's go back to our 3D view, and we need to generate how many. First, we need to think how many levels are we having in this project. For example, if we have 3 different levels here, we need to generate shop drawings for 3 panels from our panel farm. So let's go ahead and generate shop drawings for these 3, and OK. So it's going to be panel 8, panel 9, and panel 10. Here we have it on the side. When we highlight them, on the left in Properties, new parameter is added for level. Let's introduce different levels of this project. One of them is going to be level A, panel 9 is going to be level B, and panel 10 is going to be level C. We can also double check them if all of them are assigned. Now, if we go back to our shop drawing, in our standard sheet, when we scroll down, we have this sheet parameter drop-down options. The parameter you can select from the drop-down. We have created level. You can create multiple sheet parameters. And then for the first shop drawing setting that we have, we can set it to A. So we can use this setting for all the sheets that we are generating for level A. And then we can click on OK and OK. Everything is already set in our shop drawing. So what we can do, we can just duplicate the existing one. The second one is going to be for B, and the third one is going to be for C. Let's also rename the first one. It's going to be for A. So with these new settings, we need to use the first one for all the panels on level 1, the second one for all the panels on level 2, and the last one for all the panels on level 3. When we double click, we need to make sure that everything is also set here. So again, level and A, OK and OK. Same thing for B. If you are having multi-layer panels, you need to make sure to change it for multi-layer panels as well. And C. Now everything is set here. Before generating shop drawing, we need to also set the settings for our Revit sheets. So let's right click on Sheets, and then in Browser Organization. In Sheets, we can click on New, and there will be a new browser organization. Let's call it Level. It should be Level because we are organizing it by level. And then we need to switch to level, and grouping and sorting. We are going to group them by level from here, and deleting characters. So let's set this one here and OK. Right now, we are having all these options below sheets. The first one with question marks are for the cover page that we just saw in the beginning of our webinar. Then we have A. Panel 8 has already been generated with our shop drawing setting A, and panel B and C. Now we can go ahead and generate some panels from the building that we have here on the side. I'm not going to generate the whole project. We can do that, but let's just save some time and use the quick create. I should check my template map. It is highlighted. Okay. Now we are generating 4 panels here. I should check this one for my next webinar. And okay, and let's generate job drawings for these 3. The first one, we can go ahead and select MWF shops type A and okay. It will add it to A dropdown. The next one that we are generating, we can go ahead and select B. Sorry, I misclicked B, and it will add it to B dropdown. And the last one again is going to be generated with C. So this is also a new option that has been added for better organizing our sheets in our project. There's also another small change in our shop drawing settings. So if I go back in our settings, for our multi-layer sheets, as you know, you can generate multiple sheets per panel. Now the new option is just ordering those sheets in this organization view. So if you would like to generate framing shop as your first sheet, you can keep this one on top. But if MEP shop is more important, you can just highlight it and move it up on the list. So this was all the settings that we have changed. for our wall shop drawing setting. Now let's switch to floors. Let's create this panel with our default template, luggage default template, frame it now and create. In all of our floor settings, we used to have this option to flip the members. So if I select any member of this floor panel, and when we go to properties, in member properties, for example, in joists, now when we scroll down or when we extend the page, next to flipping, we have this option to rotate as well. So if you select rotate, in the drop down, you will find these two options. So you can keep this one as 0, you can rotate it 90 degrees, or you can rotate it 270. Let's set this one to 270 for the choice of this floor panel and OK. It will rotate all the members. I'm going to undo. The other place that you can find this is for our modify generated option. In edits drop down, when we go to modify generated, we are going to modify the selected member of this floor panel. We can just check off the option for rotate and rotate it for 90 degrees. After applying modify generated, we always need to regenerate our panel. And this member is also rotated here. The other new option that we have for floors is regarding blockings. Let me undo this one for now. We can apply blockings to our floor panels to marker lines. We need to come here to our marker dropdown and create marker lines. We have all these different options for placing them. Let's go ahead and just select equal spacing with maximum distance, and we can set this one to 5. In the dropdown that we have here for assign bridging type, you can assign the bridging type to marker lines, but same bridging type is going to be applied for all the marker lines that you have here. If you don't like to do that, you can always click on OK, generate the marker lines, then we can go to tools and project bridging type. We can create the blocking settings. For this webinar, we are going to create a blocking setting and OK. So if you remember, before in the settings, we could always adjust the vertical reference point. The vertical reference point was the settings that we could align the panel to the floor that we have. But right now, 2 new options has been added to also align the blocking to the joist members that we have in this panel. We can align it to the joist top or to the joist bottom. In situations where the blocking members are smaller than the panel members, we can always use these options. For this setting, let's go ahead and switch it to, for example, BMSF SMA S. The default floor template is, if I'm not mistaken, 1000 S137. For this blocking, we are selecting 600 S137. For the vertical reference point, in the dropdown, we can switch to joist top, and we can click on OK. Maybe we can also create one for joist bottom. So let's create another one. This one is going to be blocking setting 2. And it's a blocking. Again, we need to switch to BMSF SSMA S 600S, and this is going to be a joist bottom. Let's click on OK. As you know, the properties button can be used for joins and marker lines as well. So we just need to select the marker line and click on properties. Here in this dialog box, you can apply bridging types, whole series, and stiffeners to our marker lines. So in the dropdown, the first one is going to be blocking setting, and the second line that we have can be blocking setting 2, and you will see the differences. Now we just need to regenerate our floor panel. So the first one, the blocking is exactly aligned to the top of our structural members, and to the next one, it is exactly aligned to the bottom line. So this is also the next change or next improvement that we had in floors. If I go back to level 1, for our sloped floors, before we didn't have any options to generate trusses. We could always use our default truss settings, but we always had to go back to TD and modify the envelope for that truss. Now in this new build, we can just select the floor. When we click on Create, we can select between these two default templates, back-to-back or wall truss. Check off the option for frame it now, and we can click on Create. Sometimes the orientation of the joist might not be correct, but we can always select the gizmo, like our floor panels, rotate it, and then we generate the floor panel. MWF will generate trusses exactly aligned to our sloped floor. So let's select the gizmo. Every time when we click on rotate, we need to make sure that this option is not checked. If you have this one checked accidentally, your floor panel will break and then you will get an error message. Let's rotate the gizmo and regenerate the floor again. It will change the orientation of the joists as you see. And when we rotate it, it is exactly aligned with the slope of our floor here. Now let's switch to our truss project. The last small option that we have is for fully capping and bracing our wall trusses and back-to-back trusses. In our previous build, we saw how we can generate partial capping or partial bracing for our trusses. Now let's switch to truss. Click on Create. If this is a back-to-back truss, let's make sure that the engineering only option is set. In the webbing member sizes, the drop-down for available catalog, we can just switch to BMSF SSMA cap truss. And this catalog is available for our top tracks and bottom tracks. Now with this new feature, you can apply fully capped members to the chords of this truss. We are going to keep the bottom chord to BMSF SSMA S. Let's keep it to 362 S162 here. And then we can apply the list to webbing and heel. We don't want to apply it to top chord, so we can just copy the list, click on webbing and paste here. Then click on heels and paste here. When we go back to here, it is already pasted. Every time you're copying and pasting a list from one member type to the other, you need to switch between member types to see the changes. Everything is set here. Let's click on OK. You can also analyze your truss. Okay, it's on my other screen. We can also analyze our truss. We can check the diagrams. And we can also generate it in the model. The analysis passed. Let's click on OK. And it will fully cap. If I isolate this one, when we zoom in, you will notice that it has fully capped the top track for this truss. But the webbings and the bottom chord are still BMSF SSMA S members. So this was it for our today's webinar.